Hey guys, it's Christy with Zen 10 Lotus Tarot, and I just want to come to you with this really quick video. Threw some cards down to see what's going on with the energy, right? Because it's close to that full moon energy, and sometimes during that time it can get super heavy. And so I got my painting stuff out because I'm ready. We all have different coping skills, right? And so part of this video is that I wanted to give you some of my coping skills that I do when I'm feeling that heavier full moon type energy. And we can feel this at any time during the moon cycle, just depending on whatever it is that we're dealing with in our life. And it doesn't have to have anything to do with the moon. But when you're in this line of work, sometimes a lot of people take advantage of that full moon energy to do their dirty work, right? And so we as light workers have to be cognizant that that does happen to us, and that we have coping skills that can help us get through that type of energy, and practices that we do in order to fight off that kind of energy, or to uplift ourselves past a level where that kind of energy could ever infiltrate our good feeling thoughts and our good feeling spirits and our excitement and our joy and our fun in life, right? And so, but this kind of coping mechanism can be for anybody who experiences things like anxiety or depression, or even possibly some symptoms of like PTSD, like if you've ever dealt with anything in your life that has caused some sort of a trauma, synaptic pathway formation in your brain, that when you experience the same kind of thoughts or feelings, or even possibly, something that reminds you of a past trauma, your body can tend to go into that traumatic brain pathway experience all over again. And what happens in that time frame is that we get an overwhelming sense of that fight or flight response, right? And it's like it's almost like our body is in fight mode or flight mode, like we got to get the F out of Dodge or we're going to fight someone, right? And so some feelings that come along with that are anxiety and panic and hurt and loss and grief, and wanting to make sure that we'd never feel that way again. So we do whatever we have to do in that moment to be sure that we're going to dodge it, right? Or run from it or fight it. And so this energy that came out is really significant of shadow work that has to do with our past learned coping mechanisms to stress in general, right? And so I just thought I would come to you today with this video in anticipation of that full moon energy, especially for anybody who experiences anxiety, depression, worry, fear, doubt, things like that. And that's pretty much a human experience, isn't it? That we just, we have periods of stress in our life, and it's a matter of how we cope with that stress and how we deal with those times of stress that can lead us on a path that's more healing, rather than reliving some of our experiences that were less than what we desire, right? For the future anyways. And so the cards that I pulled out today for shadow work, the first one was is called The Child I Was Meant to Be, right? And this is a card of acceptance, and it's based around the full moon energy, which I thought was very significant, right? Because we're so close to that full moon energy today. And so this card talks about not only understanding what it is that we've ever wanted for ourselves in our life, but how we tend to cope with when that doesn't go in our desired way. Like if it does not happen the way that we desired from an early childhood space, right? If we've grown up in a less than what we dreamed for ourselves, right? And the word that comes to my mind in that moment is the word kraki, right? Kraki. And this word that I'm learning is a word of oppression, right? Or being less than what you desired, or suppressing that part of you that desired more for yourself, right? And so I feel like at this time you may be going through your life pattern, right? Or your life journey, and recognizing there are some things in your life that didn't turn out the way that you had hoped for yourself in some manner. And that could be anything. And I've talked about this card in the past because it's come out in the past. But in moments like this, I like to tend to write down what it is that I did dream for myself, starting at the beginning, all the way back. What were those things that that hyped me up, that got me all pumped, like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And this gets crazy because you think about, your 5-year-old self versus your 44-year-old self, and some of the things that you really did desire at some point in your life, and it's pretty funny, and it's cute, and it's cool to remember who you are, even from that space of, it doesn't create a space of lack, right? It creates a space of why am I not? Why did I not? Why didn't I try? Why didn't I practice? Why didn't I do some of those things that were so important to me at some space in my life? And going back to, pre-kindergarten days, you think to yourself, like, I was going to be a dancer, of some sort. And like, I wanted to be on stage in some way. And I mean, then you're like, hey, that part of me was always really there, or my want to communicate in a way that that showed some of my talents was something that I desired from an early age. And you can start to piece together how your life turned out, and where those little things dropped off in your life and why they dropped off, and what it is you can do to get that spark back of whatever it is that you desired. And it doesn't have to be, maybe you always wanted to ride a bike and you never learned, or maybe you always wanted to write a song and you never did. And it's just, it gets you thinking about yourself. Excuse me. Thank you. About what it is within you that's changed, and why has it changed, and what can you begin to do to get on a path that makes you feel whole, right? Because when there's things about ourselves that we put on back burners, or that we don't try, or we don't succeed at, or we've never even rethought about it, there's this space that can be left subconsciously within us of regret, right? And I talk about it a lot just because I'm a nurse and I deal with death a lot, but at the end of people's life, that's the things that come out. It's not about what they've done, it's what they didn't do. It's what they never tried. It's what they never went after. It's those wishes that never became fulfilled. And usually it's because of something that they have decided to drop from their list of things to do, or their bucket list, or things that they thought were more important to do instead of, and so it's really a self-evaluation of some of the things that you may have forgotten, that could be leaving that space subconsciously within you of feeling of regret, resentment, hurt, doubt, fear, all those things we don't like to tend to feel, but they're there even when we don't focus on them. And then they can come out in our life in ways that don't serve us, right? Fear can come out in many different ways, and resentment can come out in many different ways, where we project that resentment onto others, unwillingly or unknowingly, or even not sure where it's like coming from. Where's that resentment even coming from? And so getting aware of some of those things within us that can leave that space of regret, resentment, sadness, or depression, or anxiety, or that space of PTSD that can hit us out of nowhere, getting to the root of those things is what can help to heal them, right? And so my suggestion, for this card of if you're feeling like there's this child within you that was supposed to be, and things within you that you were supposed to do and things that you still desire for yourself, that you really get acquainted with that person that you used to be. It's bringing yourself to acceptance of why those things never occurred for you, or what you could do differently in order to start working on some of those things that are leaving that hole, within your subconscious of that regret, and start mending that little hole. I don't know what else to call it, that little space that can sometimes bring up bad feelings. And it's really a purification process. It's a reevaluation of ourselves to become whole on our own without projecting that onto others, and realizing that we're in control, we're the ones in control of it, and that we have the capability of changing the narrative of our life in any way, shape, or form that we desire. And yeah, so you're manifesting, right? And at this time, you may be balancing that divine masculine feminine energy, right? That Empress card talks about the divine feminine. And so at this time, you're trying to learn on balancing. It's a balancing act of the four queens, right? Or the four kings all in one person. And so, of course, energies are fluid, and I could be talking about a male or I could be talking about a female. But divine beings are always balancing their masculine and feminine energies. And not only that, but then the aspects of each of the four kings and queens, balancing them appropriately, so that when we speak to somebody, we're speaking appropriately, or if we're healing, or we're nurturing, or we're giving, we're doing that appropriately. We're not over giving. We're not over nurturing. We're not smothering people with our love, or with that Queen of Swords, that we're not cutting off the wrong people, or we're not being too sharp with our words, or we're not being too logical in a place where we need to be a little bit more creative, and so, and then the Queen of Wands energy, like that we're balancing our passion, so that we're not, giving our passion away freely, but yet we're using our passion in a way that we hone it within ourselves to put that passion towards service in some way, service for others, service in giving, creating projects that change lives, creating a story to share with others, about ourselves, that we're passionate about the right things and not the wrong things, that we're passionate and ambitious about what we want to do, and working on it, and then our stability, keeping our, that Queen of Pentacles energy or King of Pentacles energy in balance, to where we're not only worried about money or material things, but that we're a stable force in our own life to be able to give that kind of stability to others around us or anyone in our environment, right? And so we're not over giving of that, we're not oversharing of that, and we're not over greedy of that. You know what I mean? It's a very balanced, it's a balancing act, right? Of all of those energies. But at this time, you're doing it because you're in that Empress divine feminine energy. And so you're willing to take leaps of faith. You're willing to manifest the things that you want by putting down the fear and using faith in every situation, whether that means that, when you're having those feelings that are creeping up, that that you have to cope with in a different way that you've ever coped with them before. It's like you're taking a leap of faith toward trying new things. And that's amazing energy, because it's like, if something hasn't worked for you in the past, and it's something that hasn't worked for you in the past, we don't continue repeating the same things that don't happen or don't work for us, or that have been detrimental in some way, or we've reaped some consequences from those actions that we don't want to redo in our life. We don't want to relive that. So it's about learning new coping mechanisms, learning new skills, learning new tactics in order to get to know yourself better, in order to look in that mirror and say, what are those things that work for me? What are those things that don't work for me? Where are those spaces of resentment that I have in my brain? Where are those places of regret that I have for that child I was meant to be? And it's really getting to know you. And that's all we can ever do, is get to know ourselves in the best way possible in order to move us forward on that path of becoming our highest and best version of ourselves, to share with others, to share with the world, to make changes in the world, as one person, as one individual. And so you're doing that at this time, and this leads to stability and happiness and home and feelings of connectedness, right, to everything and everyone around you, because first and foremost, you're connected to yourself. And that's the key, is that you have to know yourself in order to be able to share the best version of yourself with others. So how are some ways that you can do that? I got my canvas out, right? Because I'm all about the canvas when I'm feeling a little anxious. And so you'll sometimes notice, and now I'm giving you a little secret of mine, is that when you see me painting, it's usually because I'm having some anxiety. And I have anxiety a lot. I'm not ashamed to say that. I don't feel any stigma towards that. I'm an anxious person. I overthink. I think all the time. It's like something that doesn't even stop, not even in my sleep. And so I have to figure out a way to deal with that in a manner that serves me and doesn't harm me. Now, this is in no way, shape, or form any kind of medical advice, or to take place of any psychological advice. If you need to speak to somebody or you need help in any manner, shape, or form, a canvas isn't going to help you. But this has helped me on my path, and this is something that I utilize for painting it out. When I got those extra thoughts, I tend to focus on one thing so that the thoughts become my landscape, something that I want to create instead of something I want to destruct, right? Because our thoughts can become destructive when we're in that anxious space. They can become, they can stop us in our tracks. They can halt us. They can stagnate us. They can put us in a tailspin that we don't need to be in. And so finding something for you that relaxes you is the biggest way to deal with anxiety. And maybe that's not painting for you. Maybe it's walking. Maybe it's exercising. Maybe it's reading a book. Maybe it's pick it, whatever it is for you that relaxes you. Maybe it's meditation. Maybe it's listening to music and dancing and getting aware that you have control over your thoughts, and that you do have the ability to slow them or to change them or to shift them in a manner that serves you instead of destructs, right? So paint, and I tend to paint things that soothe me, like whatever my intention is, whatever my anxiety is, I choose to think of it in a manner that makes me feel happy about it instead of sad about it. Or that makes me feel relaxed instead of nervous. So if I don't know what you're feeling like painting, but what are some of those things in your life that get you in that relaxed space? Like me, palm trees really relax me. So today I thought I would draw some palm trees. It's so weird the moment you see one. And I got my own little, I should say this, I'm so excited. I got my own little Bella palm. Oh, look, poop. Okay, so I got my own Bella palm, living in Ohio right now on my little windowsill. So I'm hoping not to kill it. But it's a baby palm, right? And it has to sit on the windowsill because it's the only sun it gets. But But yeah, just surrounding yourself with things that you enjoy, or doing things that you love, and doing things that get you in a space of happy and joyful and excited about the day, instead of dreadful or worried or doubtful or fearful of anything. So, so I want to draw some or paint some palm trees. I don't know what maybe it is for you that could get you in that space of feeling better, but I hope that the next time you're feeling stressful, anxiety, feeling like um, you're on that pathway, that brain pathway of fight or flight, in any situation, whether that's just within yourself, or something happens and you feel that same sense of trauma in some way, that you can start to remap your own brain pathway in a way that serves you, And some of those things are just about getting to know you best. What are those things that have worked for you in the past when it comes to coping? And what are those things that you need to try in order to change the narrative of your coping, that could possibly push you in a direction that is good, in healing some of those wounds that cause that pathway to come up unexpectedly, so that it doesn't halt you or stagnate you in any way. So I'm going to get busy painting, and I'll bring you my painting later on this evening. But right now you're taking leaps of faith. You're working on balancing your energies, and that comes with knowing yourself. And you're on that path because you're not allowing things that have caused you fear in the past to do that for your future. And it's self-awareness, we talk about that all the time. It's looking in the mirror, it's getting to know you, taking that quiet time to know you, to figure you out, to really evaluate some of the things that may have held you back in the past from doing some of those things that you've always wanted to do. So leave in the comments, let me know some pipe dream that you had for yourself. Mine was a 5-year-old me on a stage, dancing. And so that was my dream, right? To be this little dancer. And so what was it for you? I don't know. You can tell me in the comments, or you can tell me what it is, some of those things that you do coping wise that help you to get on a better feeling path, even on those days when you're not feeling your best possible self. So I hope this video has helped you in some way. I'll be talking to you soon. Bye for now.